no, that ain't work. Salam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Drawn, man. No, I'm drawn, shit. I'm gonna use what's on here now. You start using some new stuff, and stuff don't be working, man. Just sit down till I catch it. Huh? Man, it's cool. Yeah, I guess. I guess. It's crazy, but. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Amma ba'du. This is class number 16 from The Manners of the Student of Knowledge, and this is the end of the book. And this section is Ta'lim al-Nas al-Ilm, which is teaching, basically, teaching the people the knowledge, teaching what you learn. Which, of course, in order to teach something, first I had to learn, right? Now, learn is general. Learn is general. If we want to get specific, how do I know I learned something? What's my learning process? What's the process of me learning something? Asking questions. Putting it into the work. Putting it in your daily life, your daily routine. That's practicing. If I learned it, what does it look like for me to say, for example, I learned to make wudu. If I say this, last week I learned to make wudu. I was taught. Somebody taught me how to make wudu. What is that? If I say I was taught to make wudu, what does that look like? That what? I watch somebody make wudu. Okay. That's after that. After I do all of that, then I got an understanding of it, right? But before that, I had to watch somebody make wudu, right? Step by step. What else? I'm doing something, huh? Huh? Sah, I read the book on wudu, and it was 60 pages. I completed the book on wudu. I bought the book from the bookstore on wudu. It was 60 pages. I finished that in one sitting. I sat down, right? And I finished it in like an hour and a half. Did I learn to make wudu? It's possible, huh? Right. Let's say the book had all the proof and everything. The book was 60 pages on wudu. It had the proofs in it, everything you need. This is the question. Did I learn to make wudu? Huh? When I read the 60 pages? Now, I'm not saying do it, practice, learn. Before you can't do anything until you learn it. So when I read the 60 pages, I learned to make wudu. Right? Everybody agree to that? Who doesn't agree with that? All right, tayyib. I read the 60 pages, I learned to make wudu. So I'm able to go teach people how to make wudu now. No? Now I ain't saying all that. Tell you. I need to be checked. Huh? All of the dalil was in there. Everything was in the book. The dalil, hadith, ayah, everything's in the book. So I'm good. I learned to make wudu. I read the book, 60 pages, so I can go teach people. Huh? Y'all making this young. They say answer according only to the question. Only to the question. I read a 60-page book on wudu. It had all the dalil, the ayat, and the hadith in it. I finished it in an hour and a half. Question number 1. Did I learn how to make wudu? Yes. Okay. Everybody agree with that? Question number 2. I can go teach people now how to make wudu? No. Some people say yes, some people say no. Huh? Tayyip. Shake.
No, you said it. You gotta be checked.
You definitely got to be checked. Part of the problem we have is, right, that's exactly what we do. We read a 60-page book and then we run around telling everybody what to do. Never been checked. I don't even know if I understood the book properly, for real, for real. The book's in English. I read English. I understand English. But did that mean necessitate that I understood the book from A to Z? Every book you read in English, you understand everything in it? So when it comes to deen, you read a 60-page book on wudu. You finish. Now you ready to start teaching people how to make wudu? You with me? Everybody get it? What am I saying? All right, when we talk learning, we're going to say some people are self-taught. What does self-taught mean? They taught themselves. So that means they never been checked.
There's 2 ways that Allah teaches one. He either opens your heart or he gives you divine revelation.
Tell you.
He opens your heart for something. Yeah, because I taught myself because I want to.
So how you know? If I teach myself, how do I know I'm doing it properly?
What I started doing was, as I was learning, then I had very strong trust issues. So that my mother's a Muslim. So then I would go to her.
Stop right there. You got checked. Period. Eventually, you had to go to somebody. You with me? That's the point. Eventually, you got to go to somebody more knowledgeable than you to get checked. That's the point. In order before we start teaching people, we have to make sure that what I understood was the proper context. I read it properly. Okay, is that the picture? Is that what the book means? I read it in the book, but what did that look like? I've never seen that done. At some point, I have to go to somebody more knowledgeable than myself to get checked. Everybody clear? A lot of us don't. It sounds simple, but a lot of us don't understand that. That right there. I read a book on marriage, divorce. I'm assuming it's in English. So now I'm ready to tell people about what to do and what not to do for marriage and divorce. What count, what doesn't count. I read a book on the salat. All the dalil is there. All the hadith is there. The ayat, everything is there. I read it. So now I'm qualified to start teaching. Nah, I need to be what? Checked. I need to make sure what I read, I'm putting it in the right context. Everybody clear? So this section, Ta'lim an-Nas al-Ilm, teaching people is not just, or let's say there's levels. It's levels. Some things are very direct and straightforward in our deen. Very straightforward. And that's why the hadith says, of the Prophet ﷺ, convey from me, even if it's one verse. Some things are straightforward. Doesn't necessarily require years of study. Everybody with me? And then some things are a little more detailed. Some things are a little more detailed. It requires study, being checked. Everybody with me? What we need to be able to do if we're going to be opening our mouths and speaking about Allah's deen is I need to be able to gauge where does this issue fall? Is this a straightforward issue? Or is this an issue that has a little more detail to it that needs to be a little more explanation? That's my job before I open my mouth and say something about Islam. What's halal, what's haram? This is sunnah, this is not sunnah. My job is to know, okay, where does this issue fall? Is everybody with me? The problem we have is our assumption is everything is straightforward. And we'll say, the hadith is right there. And we already went through this in the Dalil class. The hadith is right there. But does the hadith mean what you're saying it means? Yeah, the hadith is authentic. It's in Bukhari, it's in Muslim. But what you're saying it means, you said the hadith means this. How do you know it means that? Based on what? I read it. So it's clear then. Everybody with me? Point being is levels to knowledge, learning, and the information that we take. Tayyib? The first point he says is that the Prophet ﷺ, he says, Amar Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam an yu'allim al-mar'u ghayrahu ma ta'allamahu. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam commanded us to teach people what we have learned. What we have learned. He says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the hadith, which is in Bukhari, ballighu anni walau ayah, which is usually translated as convey or relate, report from me. Tell people about my sunnah. Even if it's one thing you can tell them about Islam, tell them, even if it's one verse. Tayyib. He says here, وَلَيْسَ مِنْ شَرْطِ تَبْلِيغِ الدِّينِ أَنْ يَكُونَ مُبَلِّغْ عَالِمًا بِجَمِيعِ الشَّرِيعَةِ. It doesn't mean that I got to know everything about Islam to teach somebody. Everybody in some capacity, no matter what you feel about yourself, in some capacity you have more knowledge of Islam than somebody else. That don't mean you're the most knowledgeable. And that doesn't mean you're the least knowledgeable. It all depends on who's in the room, the situation. Some of us, we want to go to the extreme and say, no, I can't say nothing. They don't know. It's a new shahada, just took shahada. They don't know how to make wudu. You're not going to say anything to them? Well, my wudu. We're not going to go here. Well, my wudu not even right. Well, how you praying? My salat not even. Well, how you praying? You have to be able to distinguish, okay, I don't know everything, but I know this brother or this sister is new. Let me try to help them. They facing the wrong way in the masjid. They're not facing the qibla. They holding their hands wrong in the salat. They doing basic things that you know is not proper. Is it okay for you to correct them? That's a teaching moment. Is that okay? Or do I have to know everything? I don't have to know everything in the deen. Tayyib. He says, number two, who were the first people, if I'm going to teach somebody, who are the first people that I should be teaching? Your family. Your family. Specifically, let's use location, because you got family all over, right? Well, who in your family deserves to be taught first when you learn something? The people in your house. The people in your house deserve to be taught first, right? Tayyib. And then he says, well, aqrabin, your other family members, and then who? Huh? General people, anybody who needs help learning. But for everybody outside to be learning from you, you teaching them and you correcting everybody, and the people inside of your home, that's backwards, right? And that's based on the ayah, which in Surah Al-Shu'ara. I forgot what number Shu'ara is. I think Shu'ara is, I forgot what number Shu'ara. Anybody know what number Surah Shu'ara is? Anybody want to look it up real quick? Shu'ara, verse 214. Allah said, وَأَنذِرْ عَشِيرَتَكَ الْأَقْرَبِينَ. And warn those close relatives of yours. Shu'ara, verse 214. Anybody find it? Not Shura, a Shu'ara. 26. Surah 26, verse 214. You want to read it real quick? Yeah, the English. You got the English? MashaAllah. verse Surah 26, 2:14. Anybody? Not tripping, man.
26:240.
Everybody waiting for somebody else to
And
read.
warn, O Muhammad, your close kindred.
And warn your close kindred, your close family. Teach them first, right? And then the further out you go, meaning to the general people. That's of course, y'all. That's of course after, and we still ain't really get to the point of what it looks like to learn something. If I read a book, I learned that, right? Some people saying yes, some people say no.
Learn something.
I learned something. Good. I learned something, but I still need to be checked. Like when do I get the chance to get checked? For us, in our situation, how can I get checked? Go to the masjid and do what? Sit with somebody with more knowledge than me in the masjid. How many people in the masjid got more knowledge than me? And how would I know the people in the masjid who are more knowledgeable than me? Huh? The one, Jade, the one that's teaching, which is who? I just want to be super clear. The imam, of course. It's assumed, right? Because you go into a masjid, it could be general people sitting around talking about stuff, and he got something to say, and he got something to say, and they having a debate about this issue, and they saying this, right? You come in the masjid, and they having a whole blown out discussion. Who's right? You know, everybody sound good. But in every community, right? In every community, the origin is, who is the teacher? In every masjid? The imam. That's the start point. You go into the masjid, the start point is supposed to be the imam of the masjid. Now maybe you go to the imam of the masjid for an issue and he directs you to somebody else in the masjid. That's possible. But to walk in a masjid and start asking general people in the masjid, or just assume, a lot of us assume that because the brother is always in the masjid, we assume he knows. Because she's always in the masjid, we assume she knows, which might not be the case. It might be the case. It might not be the case. Point being, when it comes to what we're talking about learning, for us, our situation, this is a question. Ask yourself, how many books or how many classes have I finished a book from the beginning of the book to the end of the book? Therefore, I can say I covered everything in this book I covered in class with a teacher. You with me? At that point, I should feel a little more comfortable. I still might not feel like I know everything, but at least I know where to find the stuff at. When it comes to issue, I know where to find it at. I know what's the subject. I know what book to go to, and I know the issue I'm looking for, even though I still might not understand everything. Everybody with me? What about a person who never even finished a book from cover to cover? You see what I'm saying? Doesn't mean they don't have information. But having information, and like he said, understanding it, applying it, when to apply, when not to apply, that takes another level of study and learning. So he said the first people that should be learning or that deserve to be taught are your family. He says number 3, and this is important. منفعة العلم في البيت وغيره تظهر على الأولاد في صغرهم وكبرهم. He said the benefit of the knowledge that's being learned inside of your household, the benefit becomes apparent. You can see the benefit on who? Who's that? Yeah.
You can see the benefit when you ask the question all the time.
All right. It's a household full of Muslims, they learning, right? They're in the house reviewing, they going over some stuff together, Who will you see the benefit on? Kids. You see the benefit in your kids. Everybody with me? The benefit will be seen. You can see the benefit on your children. When your children know how to make wudu, You could watch them. If you could stand back and you could watch your children make wudu and they're making it properly the way y'all discussed it in the house, okay, that's a benefit. They praying like we learned in the house, okay, that's a benefit, right? Everybody with me? Like, you know, you sit back, your kids run by, they do something. You always checking. All right, let me see if they do here. All right, and if they do something wrong, we on them. They sit down till they catch it, right? They do something wrong, we on them. If they do it correctly, then they benefited from the knowledge that was being taught in the house. Now, what if they do something incorrectly? Correct them. But what does that mean if the child did something incorrectly? Jade, they didn't grasp what you taught them. Maybe they didn't understand. Maybe they didn't understand what you taught them. Or maybe you taught them wrong. It ain't always the case. It could be the kids. It could have been me. I could have taught them wrong that day. I could have made a mistake and said something that day incorrect, and they ran with it. I just happened to see them doing what I told them. I said that. They said, yeah, that's what you told us. Oh, no, that's a mistake. It's supposed to be like this. Right? Tayyib. He says, you see the benefit in your children. It says, قال Imam Malik rahimahullah. Imam Malik ibn Anas rahimahullah. He said, كان السلف يعلمون أولادهم حب أبي بكر وعمر رضي الله عنهما كما يعلمون السورة من القرآن. He said, Imam Malik rahimahullah, he said that the Salaf used to teach their children to love Abu Bakr as-Siddiq and Umar ibn al-Khattab. They used to teach their children to love Abu Bakr and Umar the same way they would teach their children a surah from the Quran. Which means what? They would teach their children to love Abu Bakr and Umar the same way they would teach them a surah from the Quran. How do you memorize love? Oh, let me read. They can't watch them because they already there, rahimahullah. So let me rephrase the question. I'm trying to think of a question for y'all because I know y'all gonna go. All right. We're not talking about memorizing it. You're teaching them to love Abu Bakr and Umar. This is the statement. Teach them to love Abu Bakr and Umar the same way you teach them a surah from the Quran. How important is learning the surah from the Quran? Extremely important. Right? Extremely important, learning Allah's book. Okay, it's also extremely important to love Abu Bakr and Umar. Understanding the love of the companions and having love of the Sahaba is extremely important. Right? Everybody with me? Just like it's extremely important to learn the surahs from the Quran. The level of importance of loving the Sahaba. And he said that they used to teach their children to love Abu Bakr and Umar on that level, the same way they would teach them to learn the surah from the Quran. That's how important it is. Tayyib. After that, and this is all under the section of teaching and knowledge. He says, مما يستحسن قراءته على الناس في المساجد. He said, what is good to read as we say, for example, general reminders in the masjid, right? General reminders in the masjid. Not necessarily a class, but let's just say after Asr, the imam turns around and he picks up a book and he reads for 5 minutes, 10 minutes maybe, right? That's what we would call like a benefit after the salat, right? A benefit. It's not really long, 6 minutes, 8 minutes. If they go long, maybe 10 minutes, but between something short like that. Now he mentions these books, and this depends. These books are not nothing etched in stone, but it depends on, well, let me ask this question. The book that a person teaches, the book that you teach to your children, the book that you choose to teach to the people in your house, or a friend of yours, or whoever needs help, the book that you choose, how do you choose the book? Based on what? Whose level? Based on the level of the teacher? Based on the level of the student. You choose the book that you're going to teach to the student based on the level of the student, which means you don't choose a book that's what? Above their level. Right? That makes sense? Tell you. A lot of times we don't know what's above our level and what's not above our level. A lot of times we don't even know something is above our level. Right? I learned that the hard way in a couple different areas. Sometimes what's popular is above our level, but it's popular. Everybody with me? I'll give you an example. In the men's beginners Arabic course, right? We starting with the alphabet, Alif Ba Ta. Alif Ba Ta. So by the time they finish Alif Ba Ta and learn how to read Arabic, I had a group of brothers, they said, listen, let's do Medina Book 1. Everybody know Medina Book 1, right? Medina Book 1 is famous, right? If you're into learning Arabic, Medina Book 1, everybody wants to do Medina Book 1. It's famous, but it's way above their level for where they are right now. For their level where they are right now, to go from that level to Medina Book 1 is above their level. Now, we did the class, and it was rough. It took long, and the brothers who was in that class, they know it wasn't right. Nothing wrong with Medina Book 1, but it's above the level of the student. And who's that? Who's supposed to know that? The teacher. That's for the teacher to know. The teacher is supposed to be able to gauge the level of the student and be able to get the proper level book to teach to the student. Everybody clear? So he mentions books here, which if we're talking about students of knowledge on a certain level, these books are great. And if you're talking about general people who are not necessarily students of knowledge, then some of these books are going to be above their level. For example, in Mecca, after Asr, in the masjids in Mecca, a lot of the imams read the book Riyadh al-Salihin, right? Riyadh al-Salihin by Imam an-Nawawi, rahimahullah. Very general, right? A hadith from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Or they have another book, it's called Durus al-Yawmi, I think. Like, it's a lesson. It's a little page and a half, a little lesson for like every day of the year. So if you read one a year, you finish the book in a year. Very light, very light. Why is it light? It's not a very high caliber book because you're talking to regular people. They just came to pray Asr. It's not that type of caliber class. You understand what I'm saying? So it's for the teacher to understand the level of the student so that he chooses the proper book. It's possible that the student, they want to study a specific book. They want to study the book, but they don't understand that's not their level. It's above your pay grade. You're not there yet. Right? We did that before. We did that numerous times. Either way, it's for the teacher to know the level of the student. Tayyib. He brings a statement here, or he says, كان والد الشيخ الإسلام ابن تيمية رحمه الله وجده من العلماء. Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, his father and his grandfather were scholars. His father and his grandfather were scholars, right? Which means you can imagine the type of benefit that he's getting in the house if his father's a scholar. Imam Ahmed rahimahullah, before him, Imam Ahmed bin Hanbal rahimahullah, he had two sons, Abdullah and Salih, right? Their father is Imam Ahmed, and them themselves, they became scholars also, which the benefit is in the house. And their son, I forget which one of them, he's the one who told everybody the narration that my father, Imam Ahmed rahimahullah, used to pray 300 rak'ah, voluntary prayers in the house, a day. That's his son that narrated that. His son, people in the house. He said, then when my father got sick, meaning when they beat him and he got tortured, he wasn't able to pray 300. So he only prayed 150 extra, only 150 extra every day. Allah Akbar. That's narrated from his son. The Sahaba, radiallahu anhum, they went to and they asked, who? Huh? No, the Sahaba. The companions asked about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They asked Aisha, his wife, the people in the house. Right? So that's the benefit of knowledge being in the house. It says that his father and his grandfather were scholars. So he was raised up in the house of knowledge and people practicing deen. It says the benefit of that was apparent when he was young. Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah. It says min athari dhalika. From that, it says that when he was 7 years old, Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, it says da'a Yahudiyan ila Islam fa aslama. When he was 7, he gave da'wah to a Jew, and the Jew took shahada. At 7 years old. How much information does a 7-year-old need to have to give da'wah, number one? Be able to articulate yourself, understand what's going on about deen, to be able to call a Jew and the Jew responds and accepts Islam. طيب. It says, من علم غيره نال خير عظيما. Whoever teaches somebody else, then they're going to get a great benefit. What's the benefit of you teaching somebody else? You get the reward. He might teach somebody else after them. And then it's continuous benefit. You teach one person, you get the benefit for teaching them. Alhamdulillah. What about when they go teach somebody else what you taught them? You still get some of that benefit. And then they go teach somebody else. And you still getting some of that benefit. And it goes on and on and on. That's why it's important. It's important that we teach somebody, that we know what we're saying before we teach somebody. Because what if you teach somebody something and you never see them again, and now they're practicing something incorrectly that you taught them, and you never got a chance to correct them again. And now they go teach somebody else incorrectly. And then they'll teach somebody else incorrectly. Say it again. Is what on them? The sin could be on the person who taught them incorrectly in the first place. Assuming the person didn't make a mistake, assuming the person didn't learn. We're not talking about a person who, it's possible I make a mistake in saying something. I said it incorrectly. I didn't mean to say that. That's why it's very important. Learning is very important. Learning. And learning for us is not what many of us might know as to be learning. You just read a book on your own and then you know what it's going for. That's it. Yes.
So I'm trying to get an understanding what you mean regarding that. If I learned the hadith from Sayyid Bukhari and I narrate it to a companion of mine, and I don't know the Shah, I should refrain from telling the hadith.
You should refrain from explaining it. You should refrain from explaining the hadith if you don't know the explanation of it. Unless you know the explanation.
So basically, using the hadith in the context is not really good because then that means you got to know the explanation of it.
It depends. Listen, that's why I say it depends on the hadith. Some statements of the Prophet ﷺ are clear. The Prophet ﷺ said, "La tahasadu." Don't be jealous of one another. Don't hate one another. Right? I'm not saying don't tell people the hadith, but you get to a portion of hadith and somebody say, "What does that mean?" What if it's not clear to the person you're talking to? That's how you really know if you understand stuff, because somebody throw a question at you. They throw a question at you like, I never really thought about it. I thought it was, what you mean, what it mean? That's how we do. What you mean, what it mean? It's clear. No, does that mean this? Or does it mean this? I never thought about it like that. How you going to respond? What's your response? I don't know. That's fine. I don't know. I don't have to know everything. I know the hadith says we're not supposed to be jealous of one another. We're supposed to be brothers, right? We're not supposed to belittle one another. Okay, stuff like that is clear. But when it comes to other hadith or other issues like the issue we went over, I think last week, where the scholars differ, all is different in it. For me to be able to nail and say something direct, I need to be at least have some knowledge of the background of what's going on. I'm not saying don't say that. The Prophet said, narrate from me, even if it's one verse from the Quran. I'm not saying don't do that. I'm saying when it comes to things that may need explanation, if I don't know, I need to stand down. I need to just be like, I don't know that part. I know the verse says this, that's all I know. I can't really go any further than that. And there's nothing, I'm not losing. Yes.
When you read a surah, right?
Yes.
And you learn to recite the surah, right?
Yes.
Is it correct that you don't know the surah until you make a tafsir? To recite the surah is one thing, but to have an understanding of why it was sent down and stuff like that, that means like you understand it and you know it. See what I'm saying? Because if I know a surah, right?
Yes.
I just learned it, right? I'm
Yes.
just reciting it to you.
I'm reciting
I
it.
don't know why it was sent down or anything.
Right.
So that's what I was getting.
So yes. So if I learn a surah, I'm gonna do it like this intentionally. I went to a class with a teacher and learned how to recite the surah properly. That's learning the surah. All the way learning, meaning because when I do it like that, I've been checked also. Which means if I sit in the house and learn a surah from YouTube, right? When I'm done, I should not consider myself learned the surah until when? I need to go to the masjid and get checked. Once I get checked, clean my mistakes up. Okay, I've learned that surah, and that's why we have classes and Quran teachers. People go get checked. You good on that surah, go to the next. You with me? I've done that. This is what he's saying. I've done that. Teacher says, yeah. Okay, but because I learned how to recite the surah properly, I know the rules, I'm pronouncing it properly, doesn't mean I understand the meaning of the surah. Doesn't mean that. So that's another level of learning. Everybody clear? That's a whole nother level. I could recite the surah properly. That doesn't mean I know what the surah means, though. Everybody get it? Which means a person who leads the salat, could be a person who, for sure, they know how to recite the Quran properly, right? And it could be that's where their knowledge stops, recitation of the Quran, possibly. It could be a person who recites the Quran properly, and they know the meaning behind what they're reciting also. How would you know the person standing behind them reading? How will we know when we pray behind somebody which one of the categories they fall in? You wouldn't. We don't know what the person knows. What we do know is they're reciting properly. If they lead in the salat, right? So, I ain't gonna say that. They should be. If they lead in the salat, they should be reciting properly. Everybody with me? So what he's saying is, yes, I could have learned something on one level, but I can't go further than that. When you talk about what does the verse mean, I don't know what the verse means, but I know you recited it wrong. Because the knowledge of recitation is one knowledge. The meaning of the verse is another knowledge. You talking about qira'at, you talking about qira'ah, tasheel qira'at, tajweed, right? A knowledge of tajweed and how to recite the Quran properly. Then you talking about tafsir, the meaning of the verses, two separate sciences. One, because I learned one doesn't necessitate that I know both of them. And it doesn't mean I don't know both. Tayyib. He brings a statement of Ibn Qayyim, where Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah said, السلف مجمعون على أن العالم لا يستحق أن يسمى ربانيا حتى يعرف الحق ويعمل به ويعلمه. He said the Salaf used to say that the scholar, they used to agree, they agreed that a scholar is not considered a Rabbani, which is, a Rabbani is like a scholar who teaches the people according to their level, piece by piece, right? Let's just leave it there. When is a person like that? He said they didn't consider a person to be like that until they did what? He said three things. They learned, they acted on what they learned, and then they taught the people what they learned. What's the point of the statement? The point of the statement is knowledge is not just to be learned. If I just learn it and I didn't do the other two, I didn't act on it, which is a huge problem. And then on top of that, I didn't even teach the people what I did know. assuming that there's people who need to be taught. Because you might be in a place where you're not needed to teach. Is that possible? Yeah, you might go somewhere they have teach. They don't need you to teach. And if that's the case, then I'm restricted to learning and practicing. Then you might go to a place where you're needed to teach. And you're gonna say, no, I ain't like that. Yeah, but the people there in that area where you are right now, you may have more than everybody else has to offer as far as knowledge is concerned, so they need you. Yes, I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just saying I was watching something on law, and I was just saying that's like when you study law, and then you start practicing it, then you might go back to your alma mater and be a professor.
And go back and teach. Dang on. Allahu Akbar. Jazakallah khairan. طيب, he says, وقال ابن مبارك رحمه الله. He says, ولا أعلم بعد النبوة درجة أفضل من بث العلم. Ibn Mubarak, Abdullah ibn Mubarak rahimahullah, he said, I don't know after the level of prophethood. We're not talking about being a prophet. Anything after that, under that. I don't know anything better than spreading knowledge. Anything better than spreading knowledge. Which, Bethul Ilm, spread knowledge could be done in a lot of different ways. And the next section is a possible way to spread it. How can we possibly spread knowledge these days? Today, right now, yeah, huh? By saying it, by doing it, practicing it. What else? How you spread knowledge? Sending somebody a link, text messages. There's plenty of ways to spread knowledge. We can't stop our learning journeys with one link. You get a link and then you're done. Yes. Go ahead, shake it. You can't stop you're learning with a link, a post, and then you're done. A lot of us, we set the bar way too low when it comes to learning. Bar is way too low. The bar for learning for a lot of us is way too low. It's very low.
It's also that has a lot to do with being able to send links. You know what I mean? Because it's at our fingertips. So people feel like, oh, what's the deal on it? Oh, let me go on there real fast. You can just type in and Google, like, is this wrong in this line? And then
Right.
50 different links. You know what I mean? So people don't have the opportunity to learn anymore because
No, it's plenty of opportunity.
I don't want to say
That's what you said.
I'm sorry. Yeah, let me back that. Not to say that I have the opportunity. People are lazy.
Lazy, there we go.
Opposed to,
Lazy.
you know what I mean, really putting the work in.
Putting the work in. That's what it boiled down to. If they said, yo, if you do this, if they said, if you were offered a 6-month course, and at the end of the 6-month course, you're going to be making $65 an hour, you're going to figure it out. Period. It ain't even nothing to talk about. May Allah forgive us. May Allah forgive us. May Allah forgive us, because I might not even go to Jummah for 6 months. Right? May Allah forgive us, man. Make us stronger Muslims. If they said when you get done in 6 months, you're making $65 an hour, you figuring it out. You're going to be in that joint dedicated. Nobody raise your hand on nothing. How many books have I finished in Islam in a class in the masjid that may take 4 months or 6 months from cover to cover and I don't miss a class? No money at the end, but it's knowledge, deen. It gives me a lot more clarity on how to practice Islam. The more you learn about Islam, the more comfortable you are practicing. The less you know, the more your Islam is, you very black and white. I don't know, so I'm gonna just. But the more you learn, the more, oh, we can do it like this, and you can do it like this. I didn't know there was a hadith about that. So it's a hadith. So it's 3 different ways to do it. So how I know which way is the best? Oh, it depends on the situation. Alhamdulillah. That comes with knowledge. The more you learn, the easier it is. And the less I know, this is my description, the more I'm walking on eggshells. I don't know what to do with not everything is haram. Everything. I don't know what to do. Can't do that. Can we do that? You can't do that. Why not? I thought we couldn't do that. Why? I don't know. I just thought we couldn't do it. You can't do nothing. That type of attitude, you can't do nothing. Can't do that. Why you can't do what? Can we do that? Everything is like that. So that means my approach as I'm walking around all the time, I can't do. Not that I can't do Islamically, but based on my knowledge, I'm just staying away from everything because of my what I don't know. So he says the next one is an intifa' bil wasail al haditha, benefiting from the new ways of transporting or transferring knowledge, right? Let's just say the original way of learning is what we're doing. You go to a class, you sit in the class with the teacher, and you go through whatever the book, the issues are, until, let's just say, the book is finished. That book could take however long it takes. For us, maybe it takes 6 weeks. Then maybe it takes 6 months. Right? You go to class with some of the scholars, they teach once a week. They teach that book 1 time a week between Maghrib and Isha. If you want to finish that book with that sheikh, it might take you 3 years to finish that one book. Then it might take you, or depending on the length of the book, it might take a year. Sahih Bukhari, something long, it might take 6 years to finish one book, right? Now, that's just on the day you go. He's teaching 5 other days, 5 other books. You with me? It could be that it's an intensive seminar. So he finishes a book in 7 days. You go there for 7 days, and in that 7 days, he completes the book. And of course, these books are summarized, right? Or the shorter versions of the book. In 7 days, you went cover to cover in that book. Once you finished, at least, y'all, that doesn't mean you're going to know everything about it like the back of your hand, but at least when the issue pops up, you're going to know where to go to find the information. I remember we did that in this book. Let me go find it. You can find it. At least, that's bare minimum. So he says the first one, and this is under the section Al-Intifa' bil Wasail al-Haditha. It says, and he mentions the surah, Surah Ash-Shams, that Allah swore by 11 things in a row. And Allah swore that he swore by 11 different things. بِأَنَّ مَنْ أَفْسَدَ قَلْبَهُ فَقَدْ خَابَ وَهَلَكَ. Whoever's heart, if a person's heart is foul, the heart is not right, if the heart is not pure, then a person will be destroyed if the heart is not right. What is the heart right? What does it mean the heart is right, though? And how's the heart right or wrong? What makes your heart right? Fearing Allah. What does that mean? Huh? Doing what's halal. Obeying Allah. How do I get my heart right? Praying. What else? Reading the Quran. Studying. What else? Dua. If I'm making dua, what am I asking Allah for? To purify my heart from what? Evil. What do I need? What do I need my heart to be? What do I need to be? Big part of our deen. When I do anything, I need to be what? Sincere, intention. Why am I even doing all this? I'll be asking Allah for sincerity, ikhlas, right? If I'm not sincere, it's plenty of things that could throw it off. If there's no sincerity there, it's plenty of things. It could be greed. It could be jealousy. It could be the desire to want to be seen, attention, right? It could be money. It could be women. It could be a lot of things that could be the driving force for me doing something. If I'm not sincere. If I'm sincere though, if a person is sincere, right? Sincerity pushes those things away and it keeps you balanced. Everybody clear? And that's why I saw that the Shems, he says Allah swore by 11 things that if a person purifies their heart, as we're talking about, then they will be successful. If a person purifies their heart, being sincere, then this is going to be a successful person. And the opposite is the same. If a person's heart is not clean and pure and sincere, that they know if I'm sincere, that means what I'm doing it why? No, if I'm sincere, okay, I'm doing it for the sake of Allah. What does that mean? If I do something for the sake of Allah, I'm doing whatever I'm doing with the intention. My goal is that my reward is with Allah. If people see me do it, they don't see me do it, it doesn't make a difference. That's if I'm sincere. It's possible a person is sincere and a bunch of people see you do something. Just because a bunch of people saw you do it doesn't mean he wasn't sincere or she wasn't sincere. Everybody with me? I don't want people to think that, all right, if you were so sincere, then why everybody see you do it? No, it's possible a person's sincere and people see you do something, right? You can't assume because people see you do something or people see a person do something, a bunch of people saw them do it, so they must not have been sincere. If you out moving around, it's time to pray. If you praying and people ride by and see you praying, a bunch of people see you praying, does that mean you're not sincere? You never know. Akhi, brother, the sister says this is an encouragement. That's what people say. Allah knows best. People say this is an encouragement for other people to pray when they're out. Right? That's what I've heard people say that before. You see what I'm saying? A person might say, I'm just saying, but a person might argue. I only showed you that because I'm trying to encourage other people, because you never know. Some people think, for example, just because you go to Cherry Hill Mall, you go to King of Prussia, when it's time to pray, it's time to pray. The Salah has a time slot. You still got to pray Asr in its proper time. You can't just be like, I was at the mall, so you didn't pray Asr, Maghrib, and Isha until you got home. No, the Salah has a time slot. And some people don't understand that it's okay. It's okay to stop what you're doing, make wudu in the bathroom, and go somewhere and pray, even when you're out. Some people don't understand it. In the parking lot, brother, he told me a nice spot. If need be, out of necessity, he told me he prays sometimes if he needs to in the dressing room. He go in the joint, make wudu, go into one of the dressing rooms and pray. Huh? Nobody coming in, you know what I'm saying? Oh. Sister's been on that. No, he told me this a while ago, but I'm just saying, some people think that when you out, you can't stop and pray. Like you're still supposed to figure it out. That's a question? That's a question? Can you pray in front of a mirror? Why not? I remember that back in the day, though. That was an old joint. Sheikh might know. Huh? I remember that. You can't pray in front of mirrors. I'm gonna use this example, for example. Maghrib at 8:10, you at the mall, it's 8 o'clock. You don't find anywhere to pray where you're comfortable. You don't want to go in the parking lot, it's getting dark, you don't feel uncomfortable. So you go in a place where it's a mirror. You gonna pray or you're not gonna pray? I'm praying. I don't have anything. Cool, I'm just saying. Some people, they're gonna say I didn't pray because I feared it felt dangerous. You might not feel like that, but some of the sisters might feel like that. Some of the sisters, they don't want to pray in the parking lot, especially if they're alone, right? They're alone. They don't have nobody to watch their back while they're praying. They might not want to pray outside, which doesn't mean, sisters, you just pray in the car sitting down, sisters. You can't just sit down. You should try to find sitting down. That means you're not going to standing up as a pillar, right? You don't just remove a pillar just like that.
If it's raining outside and like, you know, there's nowhere else to pray but your car, that's like.
Jade, it's raining outside. That's where the knowledge comes in. What time is it?
It's 8:10.
It's Maghrib. It was raining at Maghrib. It's raining at Maghrib. Right? Let's just say it's raining at Maghrib. And you out moving around, and you don't want to pray outside. You got a couple options. It's a couple options, huh? No, tell them, Sheikh.
I would delay it so I could get in position.
You could delay. If it's raining is a reason to combine the prayers at a later time. If you know that. If you don't know that, don't play with it. You see what I'm saying? Before you even go that far, though, okay, there's other places that you could find a place to pray. We ain't even getting into the rain. That's the last. We're not even getting to the rain. That's the last case. I'm just saying. But that's definitely an option. But I'm saying I don't know all that. So it's raining, it's Maghrib. What does that mean? I don't pray? I'm not even going to figure out trying not. I should be at least looking for another place to pray. All right, I don't want to go outside. What else can I do? That's up to me to figure out. We live, especially us, we live in a place where Islam is not like the strangest thing in the world. Alhamdulillah. Everybody's Muslims all over, working everywhere. If you were in the middle of somewhere and somebody saw you in the corner praying, most of the time, nobody's really going to be tripping like that. There's people all over, especially up King of Prussia. Muslims all up and down King of Prussia, all over, all these malls around here. There's Muslims everywhere. Nobody's tripping if you over in the corner with your rug praying. Right? Tayyib. He says here that Allah blessed us with the different ways and he made it easy for us to learn. Tayyib. He said in every blessing that Allah gives us, he says, يَنْقَسِمُ فِيهَا الْعِبَادِ إِلَى شَاكِرًا وَكَافِرًا. That we, all of us, we break down into two categories when Allah blesses us with something. If Allah blesses us with something, we split into two categories. Either a person is thankful for the blessing or they're not thankful for the blessing. Either you're thankful for what Allah blessed you with, yarhamakallah, or you're not thankful for what Allah blessed you with. Everybody clear? Tayyib. How do I show my gratitude and how do I show that I'm thankful if Allah blesses me with something?
Being obedient.
Being obedient. What does that mean, being obedient?
Doing things to speak to Allah. It's easy to say, oh, I'm grateful I got this car, but you drive into a bar with it.
Jade.
You go somewhere, it's easy.
Allah blessed me with a car that I didn't have before. So how do I show that I'm thankful with the car that Allah blessed me with? Go to the masjid, try to go to the class at the masjid, try to do some type of obedience, something to show that I'm thankful. But he said, for Allah to bless me with a car, like the example he gave, for me to take the car as a Muslim and drive to the bar, I'm going to take a car that Allah blessed me with and drive somewhere I'm not supposed to be, somewhere haram. Is that being thankful for the blessing of transportation that Allah gave me? That's not being thankful. That's a person who's not thankful. The general rule is, in order to show that I'm thankful, that I do more worship. The more I get a blessing, I do more worship to show that I'm thankful. What time is it then? 8:16. They're then at 8. All right, 8:16. Tayyib. Everybody clear? The general rule is I want to show my thanks. Of course, I can say, Alhamdulillah, praise Allah. But as far as actions, that I do more worship to show that I'm thankful. Not that I take what Allah blessed me with and then take that and go disobey Allah with it. Whether it's a car, it's money, it's clothes, whatever it is. It's a ni'mah from Allah, Allah blessed me with. Then not that I take it and misuse it. To misuse it shows that I'm not thankful for what Allah gave me. But to use it properly as it's supposed to be used and to use it to help me be a better Muslim and to worship better, This is a sign that a person is being thankful or grateful. So yeah, we can stop there unless there's any questions. Everybody, I'm sorry, fellowship.
There was two categories. First one was gratitude. What was the second?
The people who are thankful and the people who are not thankful when it comes to the blessings of Allah. For us, it's a couple things. Number one, the idea of learning. Being well read is one thing. Being well read is one thing. Studying and reviewing is another thing. Learning, getting checked on what you studied and reviewed is another thing. Everybody clear? I can read in the house. I finish books in the house. I'm well read. I read a lot. Cool. That means I have a lot of information. I've came across a lot of information. Doesn't necessarily mean I understand where it fits and how to apply and when not to apply it. Everybody clear? That's another level of study. And I'm not saying don't read books, y'all. I'm just saying we need to understand the different levels that we operating in. And just because I'm in the one level of operating doesn't mean everybody else sitting around me is in the same level. Just because I don't go to class, y'all. I read in the house. I read books. I listen to classes every now and then on YouTube and stuff like that. Alhamdulillah. I pray my salats and that doesn't mean everybody walking around does the same thing. It may be people who do more than what I do. Right? And there may be people who don't do as much as I do. A lot of times our problem is whatever I'm doing, how I'm living, I try to bunch everybody with me and put everybody on what I'm doing and how I'm practicing Islam. And it doesn't work like that. And of course, a lot of times that leads to disagreements, to say the least, because you are not doing what I'm doing. I think, and I don't see you to be somebody, in my opinion, I don't see you to be somebody doing more than what I'm doing, which is crazy, but that's how a lot of us approach things. Yes.
But to go back to the beginning, you talking in class, you say like people sometimes self-learn and things like that and getting checked. From your observation, why do you think it'd be so hard for people to get like checked as far as Islam, like this, like they read something, they believe they understand it, instead of them going to get like checked for? Why do you think that's like a big thing with like our community? Because like I know people that would like want to be a barber. They might practice on their front head.
Yeah.
And then they ask them like a barber, like, excuse me, I'm doing it right. I have the guard on right. And it seems like there's no problem with that, or no problem with something else.
Right.
Like somebody, like
that's a good question.
Shooting the basketball,
they want to get
go to him. He's like, yo, your form. I see how you shoot the ball. Your form is real good. But it's like when it comes to Islam,
come to Dean, we could just read a book and we good.
Read the book and be like, yeah, I know this, and I know that. And then
that's
really
called
argue with somebody.
Ignorance. Ignorance, number one. Ignorant meaning I just don't really understand the weight and the serious of knowledge. Number two, lack of respect. Who gonna call it that? Lack of respect for knowledge. A lot of people don't respect knowledge. Maybe because we knew, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of people don't respect ilm. Like it's respect the knowledge. That's like, and it shows as a community.
With Islam, it's different. Like with a barber and a basketball player, you got to show that a lot more often. In Islam, you kind of.
I'm gonna stop this.
Unfortunately, brothers and sisters.
Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We're gonna stop speaking, friend.
Your way through.